We're finally to target markets, and if I've done my job properly, I've so fundamentally either rewritten or confirmed your understanding of market factors like populations, markets, and segments that you're already predicting what I'll say next about targets. So, let me throw you some unexpected topics along the way to keep things interesting and useful. Let's consider a population and a market within that population. It truly doesn't matter what the population or markets are, how they're defined, or who exists within them, as long as they're well formed based upon our previous topics within this lesson. As a marketer, you're aiming for share and penetration of this market, but you may still be having some feelings of incompleteness. We left off a lot of people through exclusion, to most of which, out here in the population, we can say, no big deal, maybe our next product will better align with your wants and needs. But it is possible, and admittedly common, to address multiple markets which exist out in the population that we've so far ignored. We just couldn't discuss this sensibly until we were all in agreement about the underlying concepts. Focusing on multiple markets creates the opportunity for a primary market. In other words, the most important market related to the core functioning of our business. This is what we've been discussing so far, the primary market. We can also have a secondary market, which is not as central to the core of our business as the primary, but it gives us access to other groups of potential customers. The size of the market doesn't matter in determining primary or secondary, however. Maybe revenues or some other operational factor, but not the sheer headcount in most cases. We can even have a tertiary market, which means third. We sometimes pluralize and say tertiary markets as a way of including everything past a secondary market, whether tied for third or something subsequent. In fact, you can have multiple secondary markets and even multiple primaries. At this point, it's all coming down to the situational awareness and contextual reasoning discussed in previous topics within this lesson. As long as you have the underlying concepts well understood, you can discern what to do and when. For example, if Coca-Cola, the company, were looking at a population of its beverage drinkers, however they may define that, their primary target market would likely be whoever they define as having a want or need for Coca-Cola, the beverage. Focusing on Sprite creates a secondary market, in this case lemon-lime soda drinkers instead of cola drinkers. In a way, Diet Coke is another instance of a secondary market. But this could also be defined as just a segment of an even larger cola market. Here, we'll opt for defining it as its own market of Diet Cola drinkers. We might say that the Dasani line of water and flavored waters would be a tertiary market, as well as Fairlife Milk, and the Georgia Coffee Company, which is a leading brand of coffee products in Japan. This whole topic is a ruse by me, however, as it has nothing to do with target markets. Nothing. At all. Whatsoever. It's a trick by me to help you avoid a common pitfall. What pitfall? Well, too many people confuse the primary market with the target market. They are not the same. A target market takes any market, primary, secondary, tertiary, it's irrelevant, and finds an elevated level of homogeny by utilizing additional criteria. But instead of doing that randomly, just to find coincidental similarities within our market, we are adding criteria that answers the question, who is most likely to act? These people not only have the want or need as identified at the market level, but they are also willing and able. That's how we're defining likelihood, willingness, and ability. Let's say someone wants to buy an electric vehicle, so they're in the market. Let's say they're even able to buy. They have a trade-in, can make a down payment, and there are options within the potential customer's price range. But they just paid off their current combustion vehicle and want some time before returning to having a car payment. In many students' and marketers' minds, this person sounds like an excellent target market, and in a way, they are. Just not the target market we want right now. Companies must spend time, money, and other resources to reach our targets and convert them into customers. Why would we expend resources convincing an unwilling target to convert before we've maximized easier conversions? Will you eventually maximize and even exhaust the collection of people who have the want or need and are willing and able? Of course you will, but marketing complexity and resource requirements will then grow. We want to work from effective demand onward. Effective demand is where a customer has a known want or need and is willing and able to procure a solution. A latent demand signifies a want or need with a lower likelihood of action because either willingness or ability are lacking. Latent demand can also manifest as unknown wants or needs. When we can surface these wants or needs from the customer's subconscious mind, the willingness and ability manifests in varying degrees. Which should you work on first? Supplying known demand or coaxing demand out of a potential customer's subconscious mind? Yeah, supply the existing demand first. There's also induced demand, which is where we generate new demand that previously didn't exist. We do this by modifying the marketing mix. Examples across the 4 Ps might be to lower the price, change the color or scent of a product, increase availability through new stores, or run messaging that appeals in certain ways that we'll discuss in future lessons. In business, you're wasting your company's time and money if you don't work from the top down. And academically, we have no business looking at latent or induced demand until we've cleared effective demand. But once you're comfortable identifying targets that exhibit effective demand, you'll then be able to better tap into targets with latent demand and even induce demand when appropriate.